Welcome to a Memorial Day edition of Beyond the Arc. I'm John Gonzalez alongside our NBA insider Bill Ryder and Ashley Nicole Moss. We were discussing whether or not you're supposed to say Happy Memorial Day, so I'll just say Memorial Day to both of you. And what are you doing?
That is interesting. I never actually thought about it, but people do say Happy Memorial Day.
I thought so too, but then Bill made some good points.
I got corrected on it by somebody once, so now I'm real sensitive about it. But thank you for your service to those that served. And obviously,
yeah, definitely.
Yes.
And to the families of those who have people in the service, both here and no longer here, sacrifice is definitely appreciated.
My cousin Ryan, who watches, love you, buddy. Yeah, thank you for your service, Ryan. Everybody
else. My grandpa served. What was it, Vietnam? Obviously, he's no longer alive, but yeah, he served. So yeah, I think I have some people in my family. So thank you to all the servicemen and women. I did not know about Happy Memorial Day, so thank you. But I feel like I see that like on cards and like sales, like Memorial Day sales and stuff. I don't know. That's a different show.
Maybe it's okay.
I don't know.
Here's a question. Is it a Memorial Day? My wife thought so. I was walking down the Strand and there was a guy cooking right where everybody was, right? Because the house is back right up to the sidewalk on the ocean. And he was cooking 483 chickens or something. There was more food than they could possibly eat. And I was going to ask if I could have some. And my wife saw the look on my face, grabbed my arm, and pulled me away. Is that not, you can't on a holiday be like, hey, man, can I get some?
No, I feel like there's a way to finesse that, though. If you start small talking with them, and then they happen to be like, hey, we have plenty of food over here. You want something? Then you could do it. But I don't know if you just walk up to somebody and just be like, hey, can I have some chicken?
That's it's more like, dude, you're cooking a lot of chicken, bro. I'm impressed by your cooking skills, right? And hope we get there.
That's was there nobody there? Was he just
there were people. He was cooking, and there were like 7 people. It was like they can't eat all the chicken.
I'm happy to help you eat some of that chicken. Maybe go back today, see what they're doing today as well. All right, well, anyway, Memorial Day to everybody. Later in the show, we will discuss whether the Pacers can avoid a sweep in the Eastern Conference Finals. But first, we'll start with the Western Conference Finals. Wolves and Mavericks. Mavs go up 3-0 here, gang. Just the third time both conference finals have started 3-0. Mavs are awesome down the stretch. It's 4 straight games that they've trailed at some point in the final 5 minutes. They have the best clutch offensive rating in both the regular season and the postseason, and we saw why. Luka and Kyrie really coming together. They've looked so good. This, according to ESPN stats, I'm sure CBS stats has it as well. I'm just crediting the one I saw previously. First starting backcourt to have 30 points each in 3 different postseason games in NBA history. Bill, the Mavs, they're here.
It's real. Somebody on the broadcast last night said it was the best backcourt in history, and I lost my mind. And then I thought, it's not that crazy. I mean, my initial reaction was, hell no.
Still have the Splash Brothers, right? They've won multiple championships.
That's the one, right? Yeah, that's that. And I think that's the counter argument. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, Kyrie and Luka had more points in the fourth quarter combined than the Timberwolves did in that fourth quarter. I mean, they're just and coupled with that defense that we have talked about nonstop. Ash, I don't know what to say. Like, Luka's been amazing, Kyrie's been amazing. When they're playing like this, they're the best team in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, for me, one of the things that was so impressive, and I think I'm pretty sure I tweeted this out, was that honestly, it was probably one of the best final stretches by a team I've ever seen. Like, probably top 10. It was just incredible. They had an answer for everything. I mean, everybody was contributing. Daniel Gafford was insane. The lob from Luka, the slam dunk, his emotion, you could feel it through the screen. He's on the floor, slamming the floor. It was just so exciting. But I mean, we keep speaking about this. I don't know when it clicked for Luka and Kyrie, because even after the All-Star break, there were moments where you still kind of were wondering whether or not they figured the formula out, because there were games that Luka played well, that Kyrie didn't. They never seemed, there were still moments where it's like they still were on 2 different pages. But at some point in this postseason, or maybe the last 2 weeks of the regular season, you have seen Luka and Kyrie just become this lethal 1-2 punch combo. They are absolutely insane as a duo. They have figured out how to play together. They have figured out how to play together and get everybody else around them involved. If they're not scoring, it's defense. If it's not defense, it's offense, a little bit of both. It is absolutely insane. Shout out to Jason Kidd also. He has figured out how to get the best out of all of these guys. And them going to the finals, Kyrie's getting the last laugh, which I enjoy because you guys know I'm a Kyrie fan. He's getting the last laugh of all the people who said he was the problem. Just going to put that out there. Bill, pointing you.
I know you're pointing at me. Hey, you're right. Not the problem in Dallas. He's been part of the solution.
Not the problem in Dallas. And it's interesting to see really how much better they've both been together in this series, because Kyrie didn't have a super great series against the Thunder. He had a couple more he flashed, but he wasn't, the same efficient. He's always so efficient. And now all of a sudden, both of them really picking it up together is like, oh, danger time, especially for the Wolves. I know we're going to have like an entire week because the finals are starting next Thursday, regardless of whether or not these two teams end up with sweeps, right, which is ridiculous. I hate that.
It is.
I am really looking forward to Kyrie going back to Boston for the finals. Like,
yes, I am too.
Yeah. You think he's going to give the finger again? I hope so.
They're going to beat him too. Well, whatever, that's next week. But
I know we have a whole week to talk about this.
Yeah, we do.
I hope he flicks him off again like he did last time.
It's gonna be.
That would be great.
There's that likable Kyrie you were talking about.
Can I be honest though? When he flicked off the Boston crowd, I love that. I actually love that. First of all, it's Boston. Like, who doesn't want to flip them off? That's number one. Two is
fair point.
It showed like a little bit of a trash talk, Kyrie. And again, we spoke about this when we were last on Network. Sometimes Kyrie can come across, I know, Bill, you'll say unlikable and whatever, and some people may agree with you. But I think in this stage, he's kind of like mellow and zen, and just like he's always missing positivity and just like, my teammates. It's great. I'm happy to be here. Rainbows, butterflies, puppies, all of that. So I actually love to see a little bit of trash talk, Kyrie, which is why I really enjoy when he did that post game. And they asked him about, Anthony Edwards saying, I got Kyrie. Did that give you a little bit of oomph? And he was just like, I mean, I didn't like it. So, I like it.
He was so smooth on it. He complimented Ant, right? Like,
I hope he gives him a break. I hope so.
I just think like obviously winning definitely cures all ills. So they're all having a great time right now, but what a difference a year makes, because we're a year removed from them tanking out of the play-in last season and Luka not being thrilled with that beginning experiment between Kyrie and Luka not looking great. And then even like before the trade deadline where they were still in the play-in, and then all of a sudden people are like, are they going to be a play-in team? Can they escape it? Or like they're in that Wolves, they're in that Suns pack where, they kind of feel a little like they're underachievers. Just need the job that Nico Harrison has done.
Yeah.
With this team. I mean, like, we haven't talked enough about this, to go from that scenario last offseason to the trade deadline where, generally in-season trades don't result in this kind of production the first season. It takes a second. And now all of a sudden they're going, barring the first time a team blows a 3-0 lead in NBA history, which none of us are expecting, they're going to go to the finals. It's really amazing what he's done, what they've put together. It all works.
Bill, I don't want to take. You think Kyle Kuzma's kicking himself right now?
Oof.
Yeah. Oh my God. Can I also say, like, John's point is so spot on. It's also true, and we've talked about this in the context of other teams. It does take stars a while to figure out how to play together. Now, obviously, PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, the defense, the guy. I mean, there's a lot that's happened, and give the front office in Dallas credit. We're also just not very patient. Luka and Kyrie lost more games than they won last year together, and they've got a better team. They've also, you got to figure out how to play together, and I think they realize they like each other, which matters, and they found out how to be in rhythm together. So I'm not saying that Phoenix is going to do anything next year. I'm just saying, like, it does take a while for guys to figure out how to play together.
I want to
have that time too.
I want to add some context to my Kyle Kuzma comment. We were like, what does that mean? So
no, it's a good point.
Allegedly,
it is.
Bill, you can speak to this. Kyle Kuzma refused a trade to Dallas because he didn't believe that they were a contender, which is insane when you think about the fact that he plays for the Wizards. Anyone's a contender when we talk about them in comparison to the Wizards. So if I'm Kyle Kuzma, I'm waking up every day during this last couple of weeks of the playoffs, just like, what the hell did I just do?
Well, I don't believe that he wanted to build something in Washington. Don't you think I don't know. I have no insight beyond what we all know, but maybe he just likes DC or his family's happy, because there's no way he actually believed anything could be built in a basketball sense in that organization. He just didn't want to go to Dallas, or he didn't want to leave DC.
In retrospect, Dallas kind of dodged a bullet there because I like Kuzma. Kuzma was having a good season, but in theory, you would expect that either Gafford or PJ then don't come if they get Kuzma, right? So instead of two guys who play great defense and fit, as role players, and PJ is maybe the best role player in the postseason so far, and Gafford is and Lively have provided insane rim protection, and as Ashley mentioned, throwing down lob dunks in clutch time when it really matters. Like, I like Kuzma a lot. These two guys clearly fit better for what they need, though.
Yeah, it's amazing when you if you combine Gafford's minutes and Lively's minutes, if you just make them one player, they're basically one. Like, they are the best big man in the series. I mean, they are far better than poor Rudy Gobert. And the Wolves have still won the Gobert minutes, by the way. They've still won the Gobert minutes. Now, they lost some big minutes in the fourth quarter last night. Are we going to talk about how Karl-Anthony Towns doesn't know how to shoot, but is pretending he shoots 4 hours a night? Are we going to hit that?
Yeah, we need to discuss the Wolves real quick though about Lively. I want to
say poor Grant Williams, because Grant gets traded from the Mavs to Charlotte, but then I don't know if you guys saw this. He did a podcast over the weekend, and he said, or at least the clip came out over the weekend, and he said he was close to being traded to Milwaukee, and the trade fell through, and that's how he ended up in Charlotte. So you get kicked out of Dallas, who's on this crazy run. Granted, Milwaukee didn't do that good, but at least they're, always in the conversation. And now you're in Charlotte, which is like Washington. You know what I mean?
Not great.
Not great.
It's not ideal. Lively, by the way, not in concussion protocol. They had scans on his sprained neck. His status is unknown for game 4, but as Bill said, he's been so good. All right, we should discuss the Wolves because they haven't played like the Wolves. I mean, their defense has been okay, but they didn't get, Ant goes for 26, 9 and 9, but he was inefficient in that game. And yes, Karl-Anthony Towns, and we can discuss Gobert too in game 2 if you want. Again, I think maybe the hate has gone slightly too far on that front. But
I agree. He's getting unfairly maligned. Yeah.
Did you see the way he got stripped by Luka? Like, the man has no offensive bag. It's embarrassing.
Oh, I was talking about when he got put on skates in space at the end of the game 2. Luka,
he's just having a rough
night where he slid into the floor when Luka picked his pocket. It's just like, it's embarrassing, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've had bigger problems in this series than Gobert. As Bill mentioned, they're still largely in the plus with Gobert. But Cat being an absolute no-show, shooting 5 for 18 from the floor, 0 for 8 from 3. That ties the worst 3-point performance of his career. Here's one that's going to blow you away. Shooting 27.8% from the field. That's the second worst in the modern era through the first 3 games of a conference finals.
I mean, he's been... And then he goes out there and says afterwards, I'm shooting 1,500 shots. I'm sure you guys saw this. I'm shooting 1,500 shots a day. And Kenny, they broke it down. Where Kenny's like, that's ours. So he's just lying about how many shots he's taken. Dude, this is by the way, this is the Cat I was worried about. This is why I bet against the Wolves. I thought Cat would just do this. Why couldn't he do it in the first round?
How long did they estimate it would take to shoot that many shots?
I mean, I think he said that to make 300, right, it would take... What did he say? A couple hours? Am I remembering? I think it's hours. 2 to 4 hours of memory serves in that conversation.
Playing devil's advocate here, right? Cat said he shoots 1,200 shots, right? But he didn't say he made 1,200 shots.
But no, they're saying it takes. I think Kenny said it would take him an hour and a half to make 300 shots. So if you're just assuming. Yeah. So I think, yes, taking more than 1,000 shots is ours. Now, Cat did miss 1,500 shots in the game yesterday. So maybe that's what he was referring to.
That counts.
It counts in the total.
It's a killer. It's a killer because you know what? Naz Reid, especially in game 2, Naz Reid was really good, and they ended up closing with him because Cat got in foul trouble. Naz Reid's been the better of those two, sort of overlapping, redundant shooting big men. And Cat gets paid to be the main guy. And frankly, the 2 main guys for the Wolves just have not been good enough. The other 2 guys on the Mavs have been amazing. They have been the first and second best players in this series. And Ant and Cat I'm not sure that they're 3 and 4. We'd have to really think about it.
I mean, Ant's been – so here's something interesting. I went and looked at this. Remember when we got to the height of the – and we were part of this, or I was, the Anthony Edwards looks like Jordan talk, and Ant came out and told Malik Andrews, but as a player, and he said, it's got to stop. Remember this interview where he said it's got to stop? Before that interview, right, they were 6-0 in the playoffs. He was scoring 33 points per game on 58% shooting from the field. I think like 42 or 43% on threes. Since the Jordan stuff the comps became so much, he said, let's just slow down on Jordan. They are 2-6. He's scoring 23 points a game. He's shooting 42% from the field rather than 58. His I mean, maybe it's coincidental, but we loaded a lot of pressure on that dude. And he has not played well since then.
Here's my thing about this.
We all did.
There are people,
NBA people.
Okay, but there are people, when it came to the Jordan conversation, that were more on the long sides of that he looks like Michael Jordan's son. Like, that's where I got that's like, for me, when we were making the Jordan comparisons, like every time Ant would have a good game, it'd be like Jordan's face and then Ant's face on the other side, because they kind of look like each other. I don't think anybody was like really taking the Jordan comparison outside of the look.
Oh no, I think it was the play.
No. Like, for me, at least on my Twitter timeline, whatever.
Everybody but Ash is responsible.
Like, that looks like his son. Like, it looked like, so every time he would have a good
game. But people were saying, right. But I'm not putting it on you. I'll put it on me. But there, John, you remember, there was just wow, this guy looks like Jordan.
That's insane, though.
There's a discourse.
It is insane.
That was an insane comparison if you're not talking about anything more in the physicality.
But the pressure.
It's
right.
He doesn't. There's similarities maybe in the way that they play the game, but I mean, Jordan was a killer that I don't think we've seen.
My point is more, though,
in a way,
my point is more just he doesn't have the pressure. I don't mean Jordan, 22-year-old carrying a team. It's just a lot. Even the Jordan stuff aside, it's a lot to ask a 22-year-old.
Even the playing, like, if you're going to compare him to a player, there has to be similarities in the way that they play the game. And maybe, when he did the Jordan dunk, it was like, oh God, that's cool. He did the Jordan pose. But like, Jordan had a killer instinct that, like, I don't think we have seen from Anthony Edwards yet. We did
the first
in the Sun series. Yeah, the Sun series.
Okay, maybe the Sun series, but that's one series in his entire career as a player. Jordan was doing that in regular season games.
Then won 2 in a row, then went to Denver and they won the first 2 games. I mean, they were
granted, the Suns were terrible. Like, the Suns were a bad team. And I'm not discrediting that the Timberwolves went in there and swept them. A sweep is impressive, but it's not like they took down the Boston Celtics. Like, the Suns were a very bad team. Like, nobody expected them to swept, but nobody thought that they were going to win. The team had serious flaws.
My point, though, yeah, that's true. My point is just to John's sort of statement. It's okay that Anthony Edwards can't play like Luka Doncic right now because it's a process. I think he'll eventually get there. It's just a lot to ask a 22-year-old to be better than Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving in the playoffs. That's what they require, but it's a lot. That's a lot to ask.
For part of it, they did knock off the defending champs. I will say,
that's true.
But I'm not a huge comparing to Jordan guy. I think that was premature and like a little overblown. But Jordan at 22 wasn't Jordan. I mean, it took him a second to get through the Pistons and the Knicks. And then he became Jordan. So he didn't do it at 22. It takes a second.
Didn't Larry Bird, though, even when Jordan was like 22 years old, say, he wasn't winning? That's true, John. But I think when he was 22, didn't Larry Bird say it was like God in gym shorts? Like, that quote came, Jordan was only like 22, 23 years old when I think that quote came out. So
yeah, you could see the promise for sure.
Yeah,
like,
the promise.
You can see it with Ant too, though.
But
you can see the promise.
That's insane.
Yeah. But by the way, we have a little update here on courtesy of producer Aaron on the stat keeping for Cat here. So if he gets up 10 threes a minute, which is a lot, it is a lot.
He's not doing
10 threes a minute and didn't stop or reset where he is, that would take 2.5 hours.
That's not the way.
That's 10 threes a minute for 2.5 straight hours, which he's not doing. No, it's a 4-hour. It's a 4-hour endeavor he's talking about, because you're going to stop. You're going to get some water. You're not going to shoot without a break for 4 straight hours.
You're just going to robot arm it. You ever see that robot? It wasn't
6 every 10 seconds. That's crazy.
If he is shooting this many shots, no wonder he can't make any. His arms are tired. He's
he would be
tired.
so tired. Yeah, like maybe don't take as many shots. You might feel better.
But why
all right,
lie about something like that? That's what I don't get. Like, people can do the math, right? Like, why
is he lying? He's a guy. He's a character.
he is a guy and he is a character.
People lie, and the lie is so outlandish. Like, if you're gonna lie, at least let it be believable. Like, I hate when people make lies that are just so outlandish. That's like, bro, like that's not even believable. Like, that's not.
Do you want to hear? I caught my radio producer, my fill-in radio producer, in a lie this morning. You guys want to hear this? I feel bad saying this in the podcast, but let's do it. He's a nice guy. Last night he's like, "Hey, I can't do this stuff. I have to go to sleep." I'm like, "Oh, it's pretty early. I guess it's 8:00. Okay, or whatever. Okay, man, cool. I gotta get up early for the show." Today he forgot. He's like, "Bro, I went out. I hung out with this guy. Watched the Rangers game." Just don't lie. And then you
say I'm going out to watch the Rangers game. Yeah. Game 4 tomorrow in Dallas. Mavs are favored by 2.5. We'll preview that tomorrow when we're on CBS Sports Network. But any shot, just quickly before we break, any shot that the Wolves extend this thing?
Yeah, I think the Wolves.
We can't have 2 sweeps, please.
Okay, the Wolves are going to come back and win this series, but I don't think Anthony Edwards is as delusional as people. Anthony Edwards said afterwards to Mike Conley, and some of the reporters overheard him saying, we can win this still. They've been in every game. So, yeah, I think they can extend. He said it.
Series or a game?
So I think they can win a game and we'll go from there. They can also get swept.
When Anthony Edwards said we can win this still, like a game or the series?
I think he meant the series.
He probably meant the series, even though it's never happened before. But
almost happened last year.
It did almost happen last year. For those of us who just don't want to have a full dead week before the finals kick, 1 or 2 games would be amazing. All right, let's take a break, and then on the other side, we'll preview the Eastern Conference Finals coming up on Beyond the Arc.
Wow, that looked lit. The sail thing? That was cool.
Welcome
back. What was that? For those watching on YouTube, what was it?
To a Memorial Day edition of Beyond the Arc. I think it was like some sort of like sailboat racing type of deal. You should check, as Ashley mentioned, you'll be able to see what it was if you check out our YouTube page, which you can find at Beyond the Arc CBS. Subscribe, hit the like button, all that good stuff. All right, Celtics and Pacers. Celtics are up 3-0. Bill and I had post game on this one on, what was it, Saturday? Celtics remain undefeated. It feels so long ago. Undefeated on the road. They were down 18 in that game, and then they held the Pacers to just 42 points in the second half. First home loss for the Pacers. They shot 63% in the first half and then fell off. Jayson Tatum put his hand up. All of a sudden, Jayson Tatum had a game.
Yeah, but great.
First time maybe of this postseason, but he has been better recently. Doesn't feel great if you're the Pacers right now.
I mean,
no, life is pretty. So I was having this guy. Wouldn't you, if you're a Pacers fan in your secret heart where you never admit, just want? If you're the Wolves, I want to win. If I'm a Wolves fan, pretend we can come back. If I'm the Pacers, just put me out of my misery. This thing is over. Please don't make me go back to Boston. Because Boston does sometimes mess around. There's no chance they're losing the series. That series is 100% over. Just put the Pacers out of their misery, Ash. I feel so bad for them.
I will say though, to that point, like, and we've been talking about this when it comes obviously to the Celtics, they play with their food. Sometimes the series doesn't end when it should. But I will say we've seen, at least in this series, a different level of urgency, I feel like, from the Boston Celtics. Even if they come out a little bit lethargic, they tend to flip that switch and snap back into who they are and their identity very quickly, especially after that first game went into overtime. I think that they're done kind of playing around. They want this series to end so that they can chill and wait for their finals opponent. But I will say, to their credit, I haven't seen that same just like kind of laissez-faire approach that I have seen in the first 2 series against, the Heat and the Cavs, where it kind of went a little bit longer than it should have. This team looks like a team that just wants to close this series out and just chill while they wait for a week.
I don't know. I'll respectfully disagree. I'm sorry, John. They should be down 2-1. I mean, they should have lost game one.
At least one game. They should have lost at least either one or three. And possibly
I'm not saying
both.
they should have won all three, but I'm saying that overtime game, Jayson Tatum decided to wake up. I'm like, all right, I'm done playing around. Then game two,
but they played around to get there, right? I hear you. Yeah.
You saw a different level of urgency, I feel like, in game two and game three from them, especially when they were down and they said, all right, we're done playing around. They flipped that switch. Like, that's a testament to a good team. They should be down 2-1, but they're not. They're up 3-0. That's all that matters.
They're so much better than Indy, John.
I'm glad that you were having this conversation because I wanted to run this past you. Previously, we had said the Celtics haven't been tested. I would argue that the Celtics have now been tested because games 1 and 3 could have gone the other way and didn't. I mean, they fought back in both and won it. I mean, like, that does kind of count as a test, doesn't it?
Does it? Non-generous reading of that, because you may be right, but I was thinking, okay, so no Halliburton in game 3, and you still go down 18. And in game 1, and you've made this point, if the coach knows how to call a timeout, right?
Yes.
If Halliburton remembers how to dribble a basketball.
If they foul.
There's all these. So maybe it can be both, but you're playing a 6 seed who gave one game away and was missing. I don't think Halliburton's their best player. I think it's Siakam, but one of their two critical guys and like the engine of their offense largely. I don't know if they've been tested. I mean, it's not their fault, but every team they've played had their best player injured, at least for a game.
Yeah. I feel like it depends on what your definition of tested is. To John's point, I can not so much the overtime one because that was more of the Pacers beating themselves rather than the Celtics beating the Pacers. But game 3, I guess you can go ahead and kind of say that was a test. You know, it was a testament of like, what do you do when you're down by double digits? How do you come back and still win that? You had to go ahead and flip that switch, if you will. So to that regard, but I don't know if I would put that as high as like being tested in a series, like game in, game out, having to battle to get out of a series. They've coasted their way to this point. They're going to coast their way out of this Pacer series. And they're going to face a Mavs team that has kind of defined the odds. No, I don't think anybody I had the Mavs going to the conference finals, but I didn't have them going to the finals. I actually had the Nuggets.
Wait, didn't you? Oh, wait. In this, but when we picked the Western Conference, Bill and I picked the Wolves. You did pick the Mavs.
You took the Mavs.
And I had the Nuggets coming out of the finals, and I had Boston winning the chip, but I had Nuggets Celtics. So I didn't have the Mavs going to the finals. But I feel like that's a battle-tested team versus the Boston Celtics. But I do think that the Celtics are tailor-made to beat the Mavs, though. Like, if you just find a comparison.
That depth was, especially the other day, because, Al Horford has not been great this postseason and has looked old, and they've definitely had to play him more minutes than they wanted to play him because Kristaps is out. But I do just want to shout out our producer, Aaron, for yet another postseason jinx, because early in game 3, he was giving Al Horford the business on Twitter and saying that they're never going to win anything with Al Horford. And then Al Horford had like the best game of the postseason and maybe of his playoff career. He shot 7 of 12 from 3, which was really amazing. So nicely done, producer Aaron.
Just a bitter Warriors fan.
There it is. Look at this. Al Horford is food. Celtics won't win the whole thing without Porzingis. And then he had the game of his life. I want to ask you guys this too, and then we can probably wrap on a Memorial Day episode. We're going to find out if they win tonight. If the Celtics win tonight, we'll find out the answer to this. But I'm curious to see what you guys think. Yeah. Eastern Conference Finals MVP right now, as it stands. Who do you got?
Brown.
Oh, Jaylen Brown. Easily for me.
Drew Holiday's been really good. I know he's not going to get it. They would never give it to Drew Holiday. I'm just saying.
You're trying to overthink it, bro.
No, I'm just saying, like, he made in games 1 and 3 plays that ended up helping them win games 1 and 3, in addition to being really good offensively. And then defensively, he had those 2 massive swipes at the end of both games. He's been so good at both ends of the floor. Jaylen Brown has been really good scoring the ball, no doubt about it, and they've needed that. And Jayson Tatum's been better. He's been better. I'm just saying it would be kind of an Andre Iguodala type finals MVP if Drew won it.
What does Drew need tonight? To 50 points from Holiday. It's his. If he scores a 50 burger tonight.
To John's point, though,
he's been their best defender.
He's been great.
Has been great, and he's getting also, just like Kyrie Irving, he's getting the last laugh when it comes to the Milwaukee Bucks. Like, but yes, I think that Jaylen Brown just overall, I mean, you have to score points to win a basketball game. And I think that he has been the most consistent scorer on the Boston Celtics in a bunch of different series. Jayson Tatum I don't know what's going on with Tatum, but
he was better in 3. He was good in 3.
Better in 3, but he
was okay in 1.
He hasn't had that. Like everyone keeps talking about Jayson Tatum, about why he can't be like the face of the league and this and that because he kind of disappears in the postseason. We've been seeing a lot of that Jayson Tatum. Even Jaylen Brown, after the game they went into overtime and they won it, he said JT decided to show up. He just isn't giving me that like roar that I would like to see from Jayson Tatum this post, especially with.
Did you just roar?
Yeah,
that was awesome.
I'm not seeing it. Jaylen Brown, on the other hand, he's doing all that.
Watch Jayson Tatum go for like 28 tonight, and they give it to him.
Okay.
Which would be like,
I mean,
like he shoots like 48% or something, and they're like, you know what, Jayson Tatum.
I mean, Jaylen's scoring 30 points a game in this series. I mean, that's pretty good.
I would actually hate that, John. I would actually hate that. If Jayson Tatum had one really, really good game, well, 3, like you said, he was good. But if he has like this phenomenal game in 4 and they close out the series and they're doing the trophy presentation and they don't hand that trophy to Jaylen Brown, I'm going to be very upset. Like,
do you have the entire series for the Celtics there in front of you, Bill?
No, I just have
looked up Jaylen. Okay, no worries.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, right now I'm voting for Drew Holiday, so that's my Andre Iguodala MVP pick. We still don't know the status of Halliburton. Looks unlikely. Siakam's been really good. We should just mention Andrew Nembhard. We got the Andrew Nembhard game until Drew Holiday made us forget about Andrew Nembhard. So he was really good. TJ was really good. It's just a bummer that the Pacers are getting rolled over like this.
They're not going to bring Porzingis back for this game, right? I know there was like rumors that like they may try to like wean him in to like get him situated.
I don't know,
but I wouldn't do that.
So, okay, well, so we talked about this on HQ the other night about whether they should, because if not, now you're bringing a guy back with like an incredibly long layoff where you're going to need him to play 25 minutes in the finals against 2 guys who are really good, 3 guys who are really good in the paint against the Mavs. That's kind of a lot to ask.
Yeah, I haven't checked. Last I heard he's not ready. Yeah, I think he's resting. And I guess like the week off is also, I mean, it's a week off, right? So he's also going to get more time to get his body right.
To John's point,
I hear it.
It's kind of like it's a catch-22, right? You get more rest, which is great for your body coming off of an injury, but your first game is not, round 1 of the playoffs. We're talking about the finals against a Mavs team that has been pushing and fighting and clawing their way out of each and every game in this postseason since round 1. Is that really, you want to throw him just, in the lion's den and say, all right, Porzingis, here we go. It's kind of like,
and we talked about Kyrie going back to Boston. Kristaps back in Dallas. That's a fun storyline. So we'll see what happens there. We game 4 in Indiana tonight. Celtics are 7.5-point favorites. I think it's probably over. What do you guys think? Is it a wrap?
Yeah, finish him Karate Kid style.
I hope it's
finish
over.
Him. Me too.
Just end it. No, I'm just kidding.
I hope it's not over for the reasons we outlined previously. We got a long time till the finals get going.
Another game of this?
We got to kill a week. We got to kill more than a week.
We'll figure it out. I
was with you on the Mavs and the Wolves, but I cannot sit through another game of this.
One more basketball game to pass the time.
I can't do it. I need this series to end tonight. I cannot sit through another game of this.
We'll see what happens. We've never had both conference finals end in sweeps, so we'll see if those guys can pull it off. But for now, I think that's going to do it for us on a Memorial Day. We're back at it tomorrow on CBS Sports Network at 2 p.m. Eastern and on Wednesday as well. So be sure to check that out. But for now, for Bill and Ashley, I am John Gonzalez. I don't know what's happening. I think there's some sort of joke happening that I'm not privy to.
But I'm deep in my hands.
Yeah, it's a Celtics. You're that Celtics green with pride, Ash. It's okay.
Ashley will be
jersey on.
Wearing Celtics green perhaps tomorrow after another victory. But for now, thank you for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.